Obina!
Amara! Amara, hold on! I'm coming!
Obina, please hurry!
The river does not forget.
The night the river returned Amora, she was smiling, but her feet were not touching the ground. It was Okena, the palm wine tapper, who saw her first. He had gone to the riverbank after sunset, stubbornly ignoring the elders' warning that no one should go near the water once the red moon rises. He said he feared no river, no spirit, no old wives' tales, but fear does not ask permission before entering a man's bones. Okena said he saw her standing on the surface of the water, not sinking, not swimming, just standing. Her white wrapper floated around her like mist, her hair covered her face, and she was humming the same song she sang the day she disappeared. By the time Okena ran back to the village screaming, half of Yumuk thought palm wine had finally eaten his brain, until they heard the humming too. It traveled through the night air like smoke, soft, sweet, wrong, and then she appeared at the edge of the village square, barefoot, dry, smiling. 3 days ago, Amora had gone to fetch water and never returned. They searched the forest, they searched the farms, they even called the Dibia from the neighboring village. Nothing. Her husband, Obina, had wept like a child. Now she stood before him, alive, but not breathing, because no one could see her chest rise. The oldest man in the village, Panwafa, whispered, "When the river returns what it has taken, it is not mercy.
It is not mercy.
It is a message." No one moved, even the dogs did not bark. Amara slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were open, but the whites were gone. They were dark. Completely dark. Obina stepped forward, trembling. Amara.
Amara?
My husband.
He whispered. She tilted her head slightly, as if remembering the sound of his voice. Then she spoke, "My husband." Her voice echoed, not loudly, but as though two people were speaking at once.
My husband.
The woman began to cry, someone fainted, and then she laughed, soft, gentle, familiar, yet something ancient moved beneath it. Obina had loved Amora since they were children. He used to follow her to the stream, carrying her clay pot just to prove his devotion. When they married, people said their union was blessed, but blessings, in Yumuk, often walk beside jealousy, and jealousy, like a silent snake, does not hiss before it strikes. 3 days before Amora vanished, she had argued with someone who warned her, someone who told her, the river does not like stubborn women.
The river is waiting for what you carry. Obina's red moon promise.
She laughed it off. Now the river had brought her back, or something wearing her face. That night, no one slept. The elders ordered Obina to take her into his hut, but not to lie beside her. Watch her, Ponofa said. But do not touch her. Inside the hut, the oil lamp flickered violently though there was no wind. Amora sat on the wooden stool, still smiling, still humming. Obina's heart pounded so loudly he feared she could hear it. "You went to fetch water," he said slowly. "What happened?"
You went to fetch water. What happened?
The river was lonely.
She blinked, once, twice, then she answered, "The river was lonely." Silence, and he asked, "It wanted a wife." Her head turned slightly, too slightly, as if something invisible had adjusted it. Obina's throat dried. "You are my wife," he said firmly.
Am I?
She smiled wider. "Am I?" The lamp went out, darkness swallowed the hut, and in that darkness, Obina heard footsteps, not from outside, from behind him, but she had been sitting in front of him, outside. The village drums began beating on their own. No one was touching them. Boom, 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 as if calling something, or warning something. By midnight, a scream tore through the village.
What happened?
It was Obina. Men rushed into the hut with torches. They found him on the ground, shaking. Amara was standing in the corner, facing the wall, her fingers digging into the mud surface, scratching, carving symbols no one understood, and whispering, "It is not finished." When the men tried to touch her, she collapsed, This time, her body was wet, river weeds clung to her legs, and this time, she was not breathing. By morning, the news had spread beyond Umuk. The river had returned a wife, and taken her twice, but that was not the worst part. At dawn, they found something else, footprints, wet footprints, leading from Obina's hut, down the path, back toward the river, but Amora's body was still inside, so who walked back? Ponwofa gathered the elders, his voice was heavy. The child who says his mother will not sleep will also not sleep. He looked at Obina. What did you do?
What did you do?
Obina shook his head
nothing.
violently. I did nothing. But his eyes betrayed something, fear, yes, but also guilt, and somewhere deep beneath that guilt, recognition, because 3 weeks ago, Obina had gone to the river at night, alone, and he had made a promise no man should ever make. The river had heard him, and rivers do not forget. 3 weeks before the river returned Amora, Obina had stood at its edge under a red moon. The night was heavy. The kind of night when even crickets fear to sing. His farm had failed that season. The cassava rotted in the ground. The yams refused to grow. Death pressed against his chest like a grinding stone. In Umuk, a man without harvest is a man without honor, and a man without honor begins to listen to whispers. The whispers came from Nkem. Nkem had once loved Obina, before Amora, before the wedding drums, before the entire village declared that Obina and Amora were destined. Nkem never forgave fate. She smiled during the wedding. She danced. She even carried gifts. But inside her heart, something had already begun to rot. The goat that is denied salt will one day eat the farmer's cloth. One evening, she found Obina sitting alone near the market square.
You look like a man whose shadow has left him. I know someone who can help.
In this village?
No, in the river.
The river of Umuk was not ordinary. Long before missionaries came with their white books and polished shoes, the river had a name. It was called Ayamiri, Mother of Waters. The elders had abandoned the old rituals. They claimed such practices belonged to the past. But the river never agreed to retirement. Nkem told him what the elders would never say openly. Under the red moon, if a man makes a sacrifice and a promise, Ayamiri will bless his land. What sacrifice? Obina asked. Nothing heavy, she replied. Just a vow. What kind of vow? She looked at him carefully. A future vow. Obina hesitated. A hungry man
does not ask whether the knife is clean.
That proverb broke his resistance. That night, Obina went alone. He stood barefoot in the cold water. I am Mary, he whispered, feeling foolish yet desperate. Restore my harvest.
Restore my harvest. Remove this shame from my home, and I will give you what you desire.
And I will give you what you desire. The river was still, then it moved, not with waves, but with breath. The water around his legs grew warm, and in his mind, a voice formed, when your joy becomes complete. Bring me your first fruit. Obina swallowed. My first yam.
My first yam?
The water
Your
rose
first
slightly.
fruit.
Your first
Yes,
fruit.
my first fruit.
He misunderstood, or perhaps he chose to misunderstand. Yes, he said quickly. My first fruit. The water calmed, and Obina walked home. Within days, his farm flourished. The crops rose taller than ever before. People marveled. A man who works hard eats well, they said. Only Nkem watched quietly, because she knew the river does not trade in vegetables. 2 weeks later,
Obina, I'm
Amara
pregnant.
told him
My
she was
first child.
pregnant.
Your first
His first
fruit.
child, his first fruit. That night, the red moon appeared again, and Obina began to understand what he had promised. When Amora disappeared 3 days before her return, the last person to see her was Nkem, but Nkem told no one. She claimed she had been at her aunt's house. She even cried the loudest during the search. Yet something about her tears was dry, because Nkem did not push Amora into the river. No, she only reminded her of something. On that afternoon, Amora met Nkem near the stream. You should not fetch water today, Nkem said calmly. Why? Amora asked, laughing. Are you now the river's wife? Nkem stepped closer.
You are carrying something the river is waiting for. What nonsense is that? Ask your husband what he promised under the red moon.
Those words planted a seed of fear, fear that followed Amora home, fear that made her confront Obinna. That evening, she asked him directly, "What did you do
What
at
did you
the
do
river?"
at the river?
I did
He
nothing.
denied everything.
Have you lost your
Have
mind?
you lost your mind? But guilt sweats differently. Amora saw it, and that night, she dreamed of water filling her heart. The next morning, she went to the
I am
river
not afraid.
alone, to prove
No
she was
river will
not
claim my
afraid,
child.
to prove no river could claim her unborn child. But pride walks faster than wisdom. The chick that challenges the hawk forgets it has no claws. No one knows what happened exactly. Some say the water pulled her gently, some say she walked in willingly, some say she heard a voice calling her name lovingly. But she vanished. After her second death, the elders summoned Obinna, the entire village gathered, torches lit the square, the air was tight with accusation. Ponofa spoke first, "A river does not
A
swallow
river does
twice
not swallow
without
twice
reason."
without reason.
Obinna remained silent, then Kem stood. "I warned her,"
I warned her.
she said softly. The crowd
Warned her of
murmured.
what?
Warned her of what?
Promises.
Someone asked. Nkem looked at Obinna. "Of promises." Every eye turned. Obinna's heartbeat roared in his ears. "Speak." Panwafa demanded. Obinna opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again.
I only asked for a good
a good
harvest. And
harvest.
what did you
He
promise?
whispered. "And what did you promise?" Panwafa pressed. Obinna hesitated, and that hesitation confirmed everything. Suddenly, a child screamed from the edge of the square, "She's there." Everyone turned. At the path leading to the river stood a figure, white wrapper, long hair, smiling, Amora, but her stomach was flat, the pregnancy was gone. Panic exploded, men grabbed machetes, women dragged children away, but Ponofa raised his staff. "Do not run. What chases you grows stronger." Amora walked slowly toward them, and this time, her voice was clear. "He promised."
He
She
promised our
pointed at
first
Obinna.
fruit.
"He promised our first fruit." The village gasped. Obinna fell to his knees. "I did not mean you," he cried. The river wind rose suddenly. Dust swirled. Torches went out. Darkness swallowed the square. And in that darkness, Amora's laughter filled the air. When light returned, Amora was gone, but so was Nkem. Her heart was empty. Her wrapper left behind. Wet, very wet. The elders finally revealed what they had hidden for decades. Long ago, Ayamiri demanded yearly offerings, not vegetables, not goats, but vows tied to love. A first child promised, a bride offered, a lineage redirected. When the missionaries came, the ritual stopped. But promises already made do not expire. The death you forget remembers you. Obinna's vow had awakened something old, and Nkem knew, because her grandmother had once been the river's chosen priestess. Nkem was not jealous, she was chosen. She believed if Amora died, the river would take her instead as bride. She wanted the power, the position, the belonging, but the river does not accept replacements easily. It had tasted Obinna's promise, and it wanted what was owed. 3 nights later, Obinna walked to the river willingly. This time, not for harvest, not for pride, but for surrender. He stood where he once made his vow. "I am Mary," he said, voice steady, "take me instead." The water stirred. Amora rose from the surface slowly,
Yo, Mary,
not
take me
floating,
instead.
walking. Her eyes were no longer dark, they were tired. You cannot replace what was promised,
I
she
was
said
foolish.
softly. Tears
Yes,
filled
but
his
love
eyes.
bends what
"I
pride
was
breaks."
foolish." "Yes," she replied, "but love bends what pride breaks." The river began to glow faintly, and then the truth emerged. The river never wanted the child, it wanted acknowledgement, it wanted respect, it wanted remembrance. Obinna had treated it like a marketplace, a bargaining ground, not a force older than his lineage. He who thinks the river is ordinary water will drown in ordinary ways. The river demanded one final thing, confession, before the entire village, restoration of its name, reinstatement of its sacred boundary. Obinna agreed. By dawn, he stood in the village square. He confessed everything, the promise, the fear, the desperation, the arrogance, and he restored the old boundary law. No one would approach the river under the red moon again. The elders performed a cleansing ritual, not of blood, but of memory. The river calmed. Amora's body was found once more, this time peacefully, properly gone, her pregnancy lost, but her spirit free. As for Nkem, her body was never found. Some say she walks beneath the water beside Iron Mary, not as bride, not as priestess, but as warning. Years later, when children ask why the red moon is feared in Umuk, the elders say, because a man once promised what he did not understand. And when the river shines too brightly at night, the women whisper, respect what is older than your hunger. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We post powerful and emotional stories that will keep you thinking long after the video ends. Thank you for your support.